All right, the Pittsburgh Steelers quietly signed Daijun Edwards out of Georgia, and this is a sneaky little signing that I don't think a lot of people noticed. And by the way, if you're new to the channel, we're Detroit Lions fans, but we have this channel talking about teams and stories that the national media just wouldn't pay any attention to. This one's really interesting because it's a running back, 4-year guy out of Georgia, really split some time at running back, still was productive, played a lot for a big powerhouse school. And so to get him at running back is really interesting. And the reason we bring this up now is because OTAs are over, mini camps over, and now we're going to go into training camp and really get it obviously down to the 53-man roster. And this is a guy you got to keep your eye on if you're a Steelers fan because of all the production. We're gonna look at him here in just a second. All the production that he had. It's like, man, this is an interesting one because it kind of changes the dynamic of the offense if you can get an undrafted free agent guy like this to come in. So here's the thing about him. Him and Kendall Milton, they kind of split time. So this is an article saying that both of the Georgia running backs were going to enter the NFL draft. Edwards, your guy, led the Bulldogs with 880 rushing yards, and Milton capped a productive senior season by rushing for 2 touchdowns in the Bulldogs' 63-3 rout of Florida State. We remember that because they didn't have their quarterback and the whole thing was terrible. Milton was named MVP of the Orange Bowl as Georgia went 13-1. And my point here is that these guys split time, and still Daijun Edwards was a primary guy. So you go here and you look at, man, productive, strong, everything that you like in a running back. And the thing about undrafted free agents, they don't all, I mean, it's hard for them to make the team. We all get that, but there's been stories, and it's a lot of times it's these certain positions that translate well from basically being undrafted so you can play in it. Running back is one of those. There's a lot of injuries from the main guys. There's different ways to get in, and then it just translates. It's easier to jump in and play running back than say corner, safety, or tight end. So this is just an area you definitely want to be paying attention to. And by the way, before we continue anymore, we've been talking about this with other fan bases. How did you become a Steelers fan, especially with the Steelers? I'd be interested to know. I mean, this is just like a blue blood franchise, NFL. When you think of the NFL, man, think of the Steelers. Let me know, was a certain player? Did you grow up in the area, family? Like a lot of people saying like it's a certain player that they kind of follow. And I think that's why the NFL, one of the reasons NFL is so popular. You watch a guy in college, then he ends up going somewhere, he goes to the Steelers. So you end up watching him there. Let me know what it was that how you became a Steelers fan. Would love to know that in the comments. Okay, so at Georgia, he played 51 games. He rushed for over 2,000 yards. He caught only 37 passes, but each one, they weren't like checkdowns. I mean, they're 10 yards a pop. He started 10 times this past year, right? So he's a starting running back at Georgia. So it's like, all right, I'm going to take you serious. And I love that when you look at taking undrafted free agents, it's like, okay, give me from a good school, like a powerhouse school. Like, what are we doing? Let's not screw around with that. He led Georgia in rushing for 880 yards, and then he was 5th in the SEC and 22nd nationally. He led so the stats go on and on. So it's just like, okay, he's got the production. So here's what's interesting, though. You go to ESPN's just kind of throwing up a depth just to kind of get it started here. Najee Harris, get it. And then after that, I mean, he's not even on the depth chart. He's like probably the 5th running back. But I mean, is Cordero Patterson? You just kind of start looking around at these guys. It's like, I don't know. Is he still gonna be on the team, or like, you know what I'm saying? And again, I don't know enough to dive into each single player on the Steelers' 3rd depth chart, 3rd string. But I'm just saying that you've got a guy that could be a special teams guy that could jump up in here. I mean, he's not a slouch. He reminds me, I mean, SEC, you're like, okay. And by the way, you look at this roster, obviously it all hinges on Russell Wilson. If he sucks, then whatever. Then the season's, it doesn't matter. But if he can just be, half of what he used to be, I mean, half, seriously, you've got Najee Harris, Pickens, Van Jefferson. I like that. Roman Wilson, Michigan fan up here in Michigan, and I can't wait to watch him. Sneaky good. I mean, just that's the word. Just sneaky good. He's not very big. He's not very fast. He's like Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, just it's just like he's open constantly, wide open. It's like, what? Is anyone on him? Like, what is going on? The offensive line good. Defensively, I mean, there's still Patrick Queen, Joey Porter Jr. I mean, man, there's players all around this roster, and so it's going to be interesting to see how the Steelers do, because again, it goes back to Russell Wilson, so it doesn't really matter unless he's good. Justin Fields is not good, but he's good to be a backup. Like, cool. A little change up if we need to use him, or, if something happens to our starter, but he's not a starter and you cannot win with him consistently. But Russell Wilson, let's go. Do something. Gosh, do something, anything, even if it's bad, please. And then, yeah, we're looked at some other undrafted free agents. And again, why we're doing this is because you are through OTAs, mini camps, rookie mini camps, and now it's like, all right, let's get into training camp and figure this out. But some of the highlights they pointed out right here. I mean, Daijun Edwards is one of the highlights of this class, and it's somebody that you got to pay attention to because he has the highest chance of making the team. It's running back. He was productive. The whole thing, all of it adds up really well. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know if you are, or how you became a Steelers fan. Really interested in that. I mean, because sometimes, I mean, yeah, it's like the Steelers are just, when I think of the Steelers, I just think of like, kind of makes me not mad, a little bit of just like, they've always been good. Have they ever had a down, terrible year? And it's frustrating because the Lions have many times where you're just like, you're out of it by week 7. You're 1-6, you're 2-5, and it's like, oh my goodness. Steelers is just like that's what I would love to know, is like, what frustrates you? I mean, obviously you want to win Super Bowls and stuff, but doesn't it feel good to just kind of always be fighting for the playoffs, always right there? And maybe that's the frustration. It's like, you're never bad. You're never like really good, especially lately. Like, it's just, I get it. It's just been tough lately. It's like, where are we at? Are we 500? Are we? So maybe that's the frustration, but it just feels like the Steelers are always in a good spot, good team. Man, just kind of, like I said, I'm not mad. I'm just kind of like, wow, how do they do it? Year after year, since ever I've been born, it's just constantly Steelers are good. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, and we'll see all of you on the next.